Today we're diving into a pretty intense medical mystery. It's all about a serious infection that goes after the one place you'd never want it, the very center of your circulatory system, your heart. And the scary part, it can hide in plain sight, with absolutely deadly consequences.
I mean, just think about that for a second. It honestly sounds like something straight out of a thriller movie, right? But this is a very real and very dangerous medical condition. It's a disease that can be incredibly tough to spot and even tougher to fight. So the official name for this hidden enemy is infective endocarditis. Basically, it's an infection of the endocardium. That's the super thin, smooth lining on the inside of your heart's chambers and valves. You can almost picture it as bacteria finding a place to set up camp on the most critical moving parts of your heart.
And make no mistake, the stakes are incredibly high. If you don't treat this, it's almost always fatal. And even with all our modern medicine, the mortality rate is still hovering around 25%. That's a 1 in 4 chance. So you can see why finding this thing quickly is truly a matter of life and death.
All right, so like any good mystery, we've got to identify our suspects and figure out who's most likely to be the victim. In this case, our suspects are microscopic, and the victims are often people whose hearts are already vulnerable in some way.
So let's meet our two main culprits. Think of them as burglars with two totally different ways of breaking in. First, you've got Streptococci. These guys are pretty common in our mouths and can sneak into the bloodstream during something as simple as a dental procedure. Then you've got Staphylococci. This is the leading cause all over the world, and it usually gets in through cuts or breaks in the skin or even during a hospital stay.
So who's most at risk here? Well, bacteria need a little chaos to really grab on and start growing. Things like a damaged or an artificial heart valve or even a pacemaker can create these slightly rough surfaces that are just perfect for bacteria to attach to and build colonies. And these colonies, by the way, are called vegetations. This also means that people who've had this before, those on hemodialysis, or individuals who use intravenous drugs are at a much, much higher risk.
Okay, so we know our suspects and who they tend to target. But how do we actually find the clues? How does the body let us know that it's under siege from the inside?
Well, this is where it gets really tricky, because at first glance, the clues are frustratingly common. A fever, just feeling exhausted, and generally unwell, these show up in over 90% of cases. You can see how easy it would be to mistake this for a bad case of the flu, right? And that's exactly what makes endocarditis such a huge challenge to diagnose.
But here's where the investigation gets really fascinating. Because beyond that fever and fatigue, the body sometimes leaves behind some very specific, almost forensic-level evidence of the battle that's being waged inside. And this slide shows those clues perfectly. We're talking about things called Janeway lesions, Osler's nodes, and Splinter hemorrhages. Now, these aren't just random marks. They're direct consequences of the infection. What's happening is that tiny infected clots are breaking off from the heart, traveling through the bloodstream, and then getting stuck in the tiny blood vessels in your hands, your feet, and even under your nails. That's what creates these really unique signs. And a key difference for doctors, Osler's nodes hurt, but Janeway lesions don't. Pretty wild, huh? So, with all these clues in hand, some general, some really specific, how did doctors finally put all the pieces together and definitively crack the case? Well, this is where modern medical technology really shines. But before we jump into the modern stuff, just take a second to read this quote from the legendary physician William Osler, all the way back in 1885. He's saying just how unbelievably hard this was to diagnose. In half the cases, they only figured it out after the patient had died. It really puts into perspective how far we've come. And our understanding of this disease just crawled along for decades. It took more than 70 years from just describing those vegetations to even suggesting that bacteria were the cause. And it wasn't until 1944, with the arrival of penicillin, that a diagnosis finally stopped being a near-certain death sentence.
Today, thankfully, the process is incredibly systematic. It's basically a 3-step investigation. First, you've got blood cultures, where blood is drawn to literally catch the bacteria red-handed and figure out exactly what kind it is. Second, an echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of the heart, gives doctors a direct look so they can actually see those vegetations on the valves. And third, all this evidence gets compiled and checked against an official list called the Duke criteria to make the final definitive diagnosis.
So, once the case is cracked, the final phase begins, the intervention. This is an all-out assault on the infection to save the heart and, of course, save the patient. The primary weapon in this fight is a long, aggressive course of IV antibiotics. We're talking weeks, not days.
This is absolutely necessary to get through those tough bacterial colonies. But if the antibiotics just aren't cutting it, or if a heart valve is too badly damaged, that's when surgery becomes the next step. Surgeons have to go in, clean out the infection, and either repair or completely replace the damaged valve.
So let's just quickly run through the key points of our investigation. We've seen that infective endocarditis is a life-threatening infection where bacteria set up shop on the heart's inner lining. Cracking the case takes some real medical detective work. You've got to piece together those general flu-like symptoms with the highly specific clues and confirm it all with modern imaging. And once it's found, you have to fight it aggressively to save the patient.
And that leaves us with one last really important question to think about. We've made incredible progress since William Osler's time, but now we're facing new challenges. As bacteria get more and more resistant to our best antibiotics, and as our population gets older with more risk factors like artificial valves, you have to wonder, could this old, hidden enemy of the heart be getting ready for a comeback? Thanks for tuning in.